What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 209, everybody. I am your host, Sleazebomb. Today's episode is going to be my last rookie prospect ranking here heading into the season because our drafts are coming up here in about 20 to 30 days. This is going to be my top 10 tight end rookies heading into this season. And it's only 10 because I firmly believe this is a top-heavy tight end class from like tight end 5, maybe to tight end 7. But I'm going to give you 10 that I like heading into the season that you should possibly be targeting and what round and where to look at them and how it could play out here. Obviously, the NFL draft is going to have a huge impact on this, so this is an early look here. And that's going to be it for my rookie rankings. I have my wide receiver, running back, and quarterbacks all out if you guys want to check those previous videos out. As always, before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like and subscribe. Hit that like button. All the support's appreciated. You guys have shown me absolutely amazing support. And let's dive into it, guys. So let's look at these tight ends for 2025. So if you guys are new to the channel, this is my tight end board. Baller tier at the top, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. We're going to break it down. It's going to be 10 players, so it's going to look a little less scattered around here. It's going to be up and down with tiers here. Now, when we're looking at the first prospect coming out, this Tyler Warren, man, is your Ashton Jeanty of tight ends. And here's a fun fact before we dive in. He was a converted dual threat quarterback into the top tight end tier. So it gives you a little insight to how his brain will work as a tight end, already being a quarterback ahead of time. So the curves have to be a lot easier for him to learn. But this man was basketball, football, baseball, everything, athlete across the board, superstar stud. Puts up a massive 1,233 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns. But what's even better is he puts up 26 carries for 218 yards and 4 TDs. That tells you right there, dual threat quarterback, tight end, getting into rounds, value you're going to love in fantasy football. Should be your first tight end off the board, 100%, no questions asked. Run a 4.68 40. Weighing in 256, height 6'6", everything is just check mark. Ashton Jeanty style for your tight end here. Now, heading down to number 2 here, he is going to stay in my baller tier. It is going to be Colston Loveland out of Michigan, 6'6", 248. Big boy, but he's more of like a slot receiving tight end, right? He's more of like an Isaiah Likely type tight end receiver. If you want to slash them together, that's what he would be here. Ran a 4.7 40, but the good thing is he is 20 years old. The young age is what gets people on Dynasty. That is why he is going to be probably the end of the first round pick, 111, 112. Maybe he falls to the second round. But, goddamn, this guy at Michigan, you have to remember these stats, too. So when you're looking at a Tyler Warren with 1,288, 1,500 total yards, Penn State wasn't ahead pounding the run like Michigan was. So when you're looking at his numbers, he only had 582 receiving yards. That's almost 700 less than Tyler Warren. Yes, all that makes sense. But the game scripts were a lot different for Michigan than they were for Penn State. Now, one of the weaknesses that is going to be kind of an Isaiah Likely type thing for him. He's not a great blocker, which is one of the main knocks on him right now, but that can be fixable 100% at the next level. You'll get better coaching that will help with that. But Colston Loveland, if this guy goes to Harbaugh's system, I know they got Tyler Conklin as well, but the Michigan ties could be there. And what an addition he would be to Justin Herbert and this offense. Now, that is it for my baller tier. We're heading down to tier 1 here. And this is like the most ridiculous, like Harold Fannin Jr. So I just got to talk about it for a minute here. This man had 1,555 receiving yards. Now, he is in the MAC. He is at Bowling Green. He is playing less competition. I get all that. But he is number 1 overall in the NCAA receiving yards. This man is a specimen tight end. He can be plug and play right away tight end, probably second, third round draft pick, probably off your board, 208, 3, maybe the third round turn in your, rookie drafts as well. But when you're looking at the production, it's hard to ignore, right? How can I look at a guy that was leading receiver in NCAA and not think that he's going to be a prospect coming in here? I think it's crazy how low they are on him. He's one of my favorite tight ends to draft at value. And my favorite landing spot would be right behind me, man, 49ers. George Kittle, maybe he gets a contract extension. Learn behind Kittle, get a little tutelage there. Perfect fit for the system. I'm absolutely enamored with Harold Fannin Jr. And I think that it's very, very strange that he's a lot lower on people's board. Now, number 4 heading down here is going to be Elijah Arroyo out of Miami. Now, Elijah Arroyo's season kind of like a Colston Loveland's, 590 yards around there. Not a massive explosive receiving year, 7 touchdowns. Didn't even see any rushing carries. So at least with like Colston Loveland and Harold Fannin, you see some rushing attempts. So I forgot to mention Harold Fannin's. He had like, I believe, 65 yards rushing on 9 attempts. That's fine. That's right around, 7 yards per carry. That's good for a tight end, man. So these are numbers you have to, factor in as well, because you're all about fantasy football and the numbers here. Now, Elijah Arroyo's season, when he was coming out, this is his first year, getting a shot, right? He had to wait his whole 4 years at Miami. And the tight end group at Miami hasn't been that great. That's one thing that kind of scares me away. But his athletic ability is one of the things that drives you back. So he's like a matchup, big body hand mover that can get open and be a security blanket. Do I think he's going to have impact in the first couple of years? Most likely not, unless major injuries happen. And that's probably going to be how it is from here on out, from tier 2 down, right? I go to about my next guy here, who is my favorite sleeper of this class. It is Oronde Gadsden. And this is like one of my favorite ones. So Oronde, first of all, you got to talk about the bloodline. His father, NFL player, very successful wide receiver career with the Miami Dolphins. You like the blood. You love having a father come in. You love having the son come in. That's going to be talent that's already there. 4 years at Syracuse now. Sophomore year, balled out, 975, led all tight ends in receiving yards. Got hurt his junior year. Would have had massive draft stock coming out his junior if he didn't get hurt. I mean, I think it was right away early in the season, week 1 or week 2, he went down. Comes back for the senior year and puts up 934 and 7 touchdowns again. And I know you got Kyle McCord. That's my sleeper quarterback as well. This is my sleeper tight end. Kyle McCord led the NCAA in passing yards, so Syracuse was definitely pass heavy, but this is one of the reasons why. And when you're looking at Oronde Gadsden, a lot of people have him a lot lower on the boards. I'm probably the highest ranker of him. I love what I saw on tape. I love how he projects. I love how he's a flex tight end. I love how he can block as well. So he can also play in the slot. They can move him around. He can play the 8 spot, behind the 12 personnel. And it's one of the prospects that I'm enamored with, and I almost ranked him up there with Harold Fannin, but I'm going to temper my expectations a little bit. Heading down to tight end number 6. This is the end of tier 2, and I only put him up here. So Mason Taylor, around 3-year starter LSU. Gotta love the SEC. Gotta love the competition he plays against. Gotta love the DNs he's blocking against. Gotta love everything because you're in the best of the best, right? But 3 years there, played all 3 years, mixed match starter all 3 years. Most touchdowns he's ever had in 3 years there is 3 in one season. 3 touchdowns. Sophomore year, 1 touchdown. Senior year, 2 touchdowns. So obviously they have superstar wide receiver talent. The tight ends really never flourish at LSU. It's more, wide receiver superstar heavy. But no rushing yards. This guy is mainly a blocking tank that can make a couple catches here and there. He's not going to be electric. He's not going to be a, Sam Laporta type tight end. He's going to just be like a run stopping, make a couple third down catches here and there. Could he develop into more? Of course, but as of right now, I have him as my tight end 6 and the end of tier 2. Tight end 7 is going to be Terrace Ferguson out of Oregon, 6'5", 255, ran a 4.63 40. He's probably going to go day 2 of the NFL draft as well. And when you're looking at his stats last season, he's, all these guys are around the same spot. He was a 4-year player at Oregon, worked his way into the starting role. You have to like that. So, freshman year, lower numbers, sophomore year, junior year, all his numbers got better and better. 141, 391, 414, 591. Touchdowns obviously went down a little bit senior year. From the year before, he had 6 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns. But you got to like that he's a 4-year production player that's out there. So when you're looking at Terrence Ferguson, is he going to get drafted, day 4, day 5? Could he be, backup tight end 2 behind the team, tight end 3? Of course. But I don't, again, we're in the lower section here, and I don't know. Landing spot's going to mean everything. Injuries can happen, but still, I don't have him projected to be anywhere near starting this year. Coming in behind him at tier 4, number 1 is going to be Gunnar Helm out of Texas, 6'5", 250, ran a 4.8, 4.40. And Gunnar is, you know, this is like the third highest receiving yardage tight end. So he is a little more of a threat in the receiving game. But Texas did have injuries happen. Isaiah Bond went down, so it opened up a little more for him as well. And I've talked about Isaiah Bond in my wide receiver video and how he produced, better than Matthew Golden at some points. But if you want to check that out in the wide receiver video, check that out. But he puts up 786, 7 touchdowns. You have to like that. You have to like the production there. His blocking is not one of the best. That's why he's more of a receiver type tight end. He's, when you come from Texas, you play against great talent as well. But his genius in class is one of the things that sticks out. He's like 4.0 genius student, every single thing. Have to like the learning curve that comes with him as well. But with Gunnar, I don't think, again, maybe landing spot, maybe a couple injuries, maybe he steps in, maybe he does something there, but I'm not super high on him as playing this year. To end my tier 4 could be my Iowa U biased here, and Luke Lachey as well is another guy that didn't get much yards, but that Iowa U brings the tight ends. I mean, George Kittle, Sam Laporta. You could say Noah Fant if you want. I think there's someone I'm missing. I'm blanking on it. It'll come to me. But all Iowa does is just flat out produce tight ends. Now again, this was run heavy Caleb Johnson 2024, right? Lachey only had 231 yards receiving. That is not good numbers, but he is a massive, massive blocking tight end. And Iowa tight ends always seem to take, 1 to 2 years. I guess Laporta was right away, but 1 to 2 years here, and then they pop off. And he could be one of those guys with a massive learning curve. His size is massive, 6'6", 250, ran a 4.77. He's got high upside, but it's going to be like day 2 into the draft potential here. And, in your rookie draft, really, really late in the draft, but a target that possibly could pop. Number 10, last but not least, tier 5, Notre Dame, Mitchell Evans. Now, Mitchell Evans, 4 years at Notre Dame, finally worked his way up. He's been behind Michael Mayer. So they've had some really, really good tight ends come out of Notre Dame. So he had to work his, find his time there. But look at last year. So with Michael Mayer, he still had 422 yards, right? So not too shabby. But then he had 421, again, 3 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, doesn't find the end zone a lot. Notre Dame also didn't really play tight end heavy pass football last season, but he played 16 games. So when you're playing 16 games and you only have 421, it's rough for me with him. I mean, he probably will be personnel package. If they run a 12 personnel out there, he might get a couple splash plays, but besides that, he's more of a versatile, specialized blocking tight end, kind of like Luke Lachey. Could that be big for some run teams, for some teams if they need some depth pieces? Yeah. Is he going to be fantasy relevant, the next couple of years? Probably not. So for my bottom 5 tight ends, like outside of Mason Taylor, really should be outside of Oronde Gadsden. I really don't think Mason Taylor, Ferguson, Helm, Lachey, Evans will have much chance to fantasy relevance this year. Could they down the stretch? Of course. But I'm going to stick with my top 5 and my gut feeling and all my research on this. And I think it's going to end with Gadsden. And Gadsden is my sleeper of this class, guys. Remember, I'm probably the highest ranker of Oronde Gadsden there is right now. And that is my top 10 rookie tight ends. Thanks for rocking with me today. That is the end of the video. That is my top 10 rookie tight ends. Whether you guys are listening on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe on the way out. I am going to drop my Dynasty wide receiver top 10s in a short today. I will also be live tonight again at 5 p.m. I'll probably be rushing back to the house. I'll be here right on time, but hopefully we're live. Hope to see you guys in there. And that's it for me, man. Sleazebomb out. Hope to see you guys in the next one.